Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Kombumerri people.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Thursday, May 23. In Squiz Kids Today, Operation Stamp Out Bird Flu, Japan's naughty raccoons, Mr. Beast in deepfake scam, and Find My Friends for rhinos. That's what's making news, kids style.
The Lowdown.
Winter. When the temperature drops and every second person you know catches a cold or the flu. If you thought there was a lot of flu around at the moment, you'd be right. And while the flu that humans catch is worrying doctors, it's a flu of another kind that has scientists worried. It's called bird flu, and for the first time in 4 years, it was confirmed yesterday that some chickens on a farm in Victoria had caught it. So, why is that a thing? Because 14 years ago, there was a bird flu problem that swept the world and made lots of birds and some people very sick. So, the Australian government has sent in all the clever scientists it has on hand to make sure that this problem in the Victorian farm is nipped in the bud. But don't worry in the meantime. In the last 40 years or so, we've had no fewer than 8 outbreaks of bird flu in Australia, and each time we've managed to stamp it out before it becomes a big problem. And in the meantime, it's perfectly safe to keep eating chicken and eggs, which is just as well, because a soft, boiled googie egg is my go-to for winter breakfast. I like the yolk nice and runny. What do you mean you've never heard the expression googie egg? Man, sometimes I feel really old.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Japan, where the nation is on alert in the face of what's been described as a raccoon invasion. Sounds terrifying, right? I mean, raccoons look all cute and cuddly in photos, but in reality they're actually pretty aggressive and mischievous little creatures. And that's okay if they're in the wild, in their natural habitat. But the problem in Japan is that 20 years ago, people were importing raccoons from the United States to keep as pets. You see, there was a popular anime cartoon in Japan 20 years ago called Rascal the Raccoon, and lots of people decided they wanted a rascal of their very own. But they very quickly discovered that raccoons don't make for great pets, and so they released them back into the wild. And now Japan has a feral raccoon problem. It's a good example of what's called an invasive species, which is a species of animal that is not native to a habitat but has been introduced and is threatening native species, like feral cats or cane toads or rabbits and foxes that we have here in Australia. We've done a great Squiz Kids shortcut on the topic of invasive species, a link to which you'll find in today's episode notes. You're welcome.
Animal Kingdom.
Here's a good news story about how technology is playing a really important role protecting animals on the brink of extinction. What does brink of extinction mean? It's a phrase that means there's a very real possibility that something won't be around anymore. A species of animal will cease to exist. And that, my friends, is never good. Happily, a bunch of really clever park rangers in Kenya, in Africa, are using GPS tracking technology to keep tabs on everything from rhinos to lions to elephants and giraffes. Some 9,000 animals in total are being tracked. You know, Find My Friends or Life 360 on your mum and dad's phones? It's a similar thing. The movements of the animals across the savannah can be tracked to make sure that they're not in any danger. And the results speak for themselves. According to reports, populations of black rhino have increased, and there's been a drop in the number of elephants being killed by poachers. So clever.
Newshounds.
Every Thursday, Squizzy the Newshound pops his head into Squiz Kids HQ to report back on fishy things he's sniffed out on the internet. And this week, his nose is twitching angrily because his buddy Mr. Beast has been caught up in an online scam. What's an online scam? It's when someone on the internet tries to trick you. Lots of you will have heard of Mr. Beast, famous for his YouTube videos where he pretty much comes up with crazy ways of giving away money. Well, stories have been appearing online recently showing television news reports about something called the Beast Plinko, an online gaming app. Now, gaming in this case doesn't mean Super Mario Bros. Or Minecraft. It refers to betting, which is something none of you should be doing or indeed are allowed to do. The news reports also feature The Rock and Tyler Toney from Dude Perfect. But the thing is, and as Squizzy has discovered from sniffing, the news reports are fake. They've been made using artificial intelligence to make it seem like well-known people are saying things they never actually said. These are also known as deepfakes. So, to reiterate, there is no Mr. Beast Plinko, and neither The Rock, Dude Perfect, or Mr. Beast himself have ever endorsed such a thing. The people who create these deepfakes are just trying to trick you into downloading something that will damage your device or trick you into giving them money. But because you're all clever newshounds, you all know that every time you come across something online, you have to stop, think, and check. And in exciting news, Newshounds, Squiz Kids' free media literacy program for primary school kids, available via squizkids.com.au, is undergoing renovations. And we can't wait to unveil the new look Newshounds to you in the coming months. Watch this space.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. Approximately how many animals are being tracked by GPS in Kenya? That was a bit of a tricky one, wasn't it? Did you say 9,000? You'd be right. Question number 2. What was the name of the Japanese anime series about a raccoon that saw lots of people there want to own one as a pet? Ah yes, really testing your listening skills today. The name of the anime series was Rascal the Raccoon. Question number 3. Name the YouTube star who's been caught up in a deepfake online betting scam. Yep, the name I'm looking for is Mr. Beast. Who else?
Shout-outs.
It's May 23. Today, my friends, is World Turtle Day, a day to celebrate how awesome these majestic creatures are. It's also a special day for the following Squiz Kids, celebrating a birthday today. Amberley from Duncraig, Addison from Banksmeadow, Raina from Pimble, Jidoni from Redcliffe, Corey from Gulgong, Ashan from Wanturna, Ellie from Rowville, and Gavin, who's listening all the way over there in Maple Ridge in British Columbia. Great to have you aboard, Gavin. And belated birthday shout-outs go to Maggie from North Turramurra, Yishi from Scarborough, and Gabby from Hornsby. And classroom shout-outs today, my friends, go to Class 6 Sapphire with Mr. Powers and Mrs. Shaw at Wilton Public School, Classes 6C and 6D with Miss Reese at Holy Rosary Catholic Primary School in Perth, Class 6 White with Mrs. Wing and Mrs. Noonan at Our Lady of Fatima Catholic Primary School in Caringbah, Class 3 with Prac teacher Mrs. Walsh and mentor teacher Mrs. Rose at Snowy Valleys School in Tumut, and Class Middle 4 with Mr. Smith at St. Teresa's Primary School in Kennington. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout-out, or if you're after a classroom shout-out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. I'll be back again tomorrow with our Kids versus Adults Weekly News Quiz, where you get to test who's been paying the most attention to the week that just was. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.